Good day, everyone. My name is David Ellis, and I'm here with
Amy Cruising.
And today we are going to be speaking about a very important topic, which apparently is affecting the coaching community, the wellness community, the spiritual community, those that are remaining, and just about every wellness space. So, Amy, I'm going to let you lead on this one because I have a lot of thoughts, and there will be no holds barred in this podcast whatsoever.
Okay, so let me ask you about when you hear the word spiritual accountability, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Not the concept of it, but what comes to mind?
Karma.
Karma.
Karma is the concept that comes to mind. And I think karma operates not only in terms of the generalized way we think of karma, like every good action results in a good outcome and bad actions result in bad outcome for the actor.
Yeah.
I think karma operates on a social and community level as well. You could ask the Romans about that when the city ended up in flames.
Okay, so then let's go. The title is The Fall of Spirituality. So one thing I was thinking of, I have a few things written down here, is that who gets to call themselves healers and teachers and guides? Who, like, there seems to be nothing exists as far as like paper certificates. I mean, there are in some areas, but how can I call myself a healer? What do I need to go through to call myself a healer? But
here is the thing that thank you for that question.
Okay.
This is a question that has been asked several times in different spaces, and everybody in the spiritual community is afraid to answer that question. Okay, so I have a lot of opinions, and a lot of them are unpopular, and I don't mind saying them, which is probably why a lot of people are frightened to come on podcasts. Let me give you my opinions where this is concerned.
Okay.
There are three great arrogances in life. I can teach you, I can save you, and I can heal you. These are the three great arrogances in life. So when we're talking about healing and in spiritual spaces, what we're talking about is the empowerment of the individual to heal themselves, the empowerment of the individual to learn a lesson as a guide. You guide the person in learning something. The empowerment of an individual to see their wrong actions and course correct. You're not saving anybody. You're not healing anybody. You're not teaching anybody. You're guiding people, right? So to answer your question, who gets to be called a healer? Back in the day, it used to be people wanted to be alchemists or whatever else. They'd go to a temple, sit outside the temple, beg to be let in to be tutored. And they'd undergo tutoring not for 1, 2, 3, or 4 years, more like a decade. And then they would say, I'm about to try to help other people. As it turns out, in our day and age nowadays, you can become a healer in about 45 minutes in a weekend. And people don't actually utilize practical methods like internship, right, to gauge the proficiency of different healers. Okay, there is no shortcut when it comes to knowledge. Okay, you have to learn it, practice it some more, right, and then practice it under the guidance of somebody who knows better than you. Okay, you don't just read something on the YouTube and decide that you're becoming a healer. You may think that you can do that, right?
Yeah.
But the reason why in medical, this is the divide we have between the
Yeah.
conventional community. We're talking about doctors and nurses, and the wellness community. We're talking about healers and spiritualists and so on, because there are defined rules of practice in conventional spaces. Okay, you learn something, you go to school, somebody interns you and guides you, okay, so that you don't harm clients. That's
Yeah.
usually is. And everybody who's teaching any form of healing should have that built into some degree, but a lot of them don't.
Yeah. And there's these words, like you just used the words alchemist.
Mhm.
There's words that in the spiritual community that are overused and confuse people. And, you know, they write pretty ways, they write pretty things, but like, where's the, like, I don't know why, but where's the paper? Where's your experience? Why not have a resume? Nobody has a resume. I've never seen one.
There is a lot of words that people are using in marketing and advertising and so
Yeah.
on when they're advertising their business, and nobody knows what they mean.
Right.
I'm talking about phrases like find yourself. I'm sorry, were you lost in the first place?
Yeah.
Right? Stuff like that.
Safe
Uh,
spaces. Safe
safe
space.
spaces. What exactly is that? If people would just, there's a lot of this kind of rhetoric that is being used in wellness spaces that wasn't used before. Now, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, we had wellness spaces which was just very simple. You came and you practice, okay? Whether it be the meditation centers, the TM meditation center, you came, you practice, and you practiced in community.
Yeah.
Now I'm seeing two things that have not actually gone well with the wellness community. The first is the commercialization of it.
Hmm.
So you had like tiered pricing structure, which should never happen in a spiritual space, because you are absolutely promoting the concept of hierarchy. So
Yeah.
you and me are in the same meditation center, but you got the ultra deluxe plan. So you're fast tracking your enlightenment by paying $69.95, right? To get
Yeah.
to a certain level. And me at the basic level who just came to meditate, that is nonsense. That is not how spirituality works. Come on.
Yeah.
That is not how spirituality works. And it actually angers me. So the commercialization was an issue. I understand that people needed are trying to survive and they're just trying to make a buck and stuff like that. Okay. That is not an issue. But when it comes to stuff like a meditation center, as an example, you're not fast tracking anybody based on what they've paid you. You're not an airline. You don't get economy and economy flex and then first class and VIP class and business class. This is not how spirituality works. This is craziness. The second thing that really upset me that has happened to spiritual spaces and wellness spaces is the politicization of these spaces. Okay? And
Okay.
people politicize things when it is that they want to make money based on people's biases.
Oh,
And I'm going to call,
explain.
I'm going to call a few of these spaces out.
Yeah.
Like women's only spaces, a lot of the times. Let me explain something to you. I understand that women have been abused by men throughout history. But if you think you are going to reach some sort of enlightenment in isolation of the other half
Yeah.
of the spiritual spectrum, the yin and yang balance, which is the male side of it, and just exclude men from a particular area or whatever else, I have news for you. That might not work out well in your favor. So the politicization is like when feminists took over women's spiritual spaces,
Yeah.
and certain kinds of feminism come with a certain level of toxicity. And I do know what I'm talking about because I studied feminism in school as a subject. So radical feminists believe that the world would be better with no men. Radical feminism. Okay?
Oh, really?
We're not talking about the modern feminists. We're not talking about the neo-feminists. We're not talking about any of those. Right? So radical feminism believes that men are not necessary. So you have radical feminists taking necessarily women's spaces and saying, oh, this is a women's only space. We don't need men, etc., etc. I have news for you. This is not how spirituality works. Every single individual on the planet is part male and part female. That is a genetic fact. That
Yeah.
is a scientific fact. And I see a lot of ignorance online with this gender war. Why are there gender wars in spirituality? It's nonsense. It's crazy. These people are crazy. I just don't understand that. And why are there racial wars in spirituality? Like, blackspirituality.com or whitespirituality.com. Are y'all nuts? What's going on? I don't understand what's going on. For those of us who have been in spirituality for a very, very long extended period of time, we look at the craziness, and I have a bit of flack for those people who have been at it for a long time. I remember 30 years ago when this was just started. Okay? About 30 years ago. Okay? I've been in spirituality since I was 13 years old.
Yeah.
About 30 years ago when this first started, Amy,
Yeah.
we had the yoga community rising. We had the commercialization of yoga. We had Gaia representing itself. We had whatever else, and everybody was saying, now we're going to have products. We had blocks, the wedges, and so on. And all these things were good things. Okay. Then people started to have different kinds of yoga.
Mm.
People started the word yoga means union or marriage. Okay. People started to have different kinds of yoga. So you had Shivananda, right? Vivekananda type yoga. You had Ashtanga, which is not the real Ashtanga yoga. Ashtanga yoga is a big, big, big system. It's not just a physical exercise hatha yoga system. And then they started to quibble about which yoga form was the best. And I'm like, oh my God, are you serious? So
Were
there
they
was,
trying to commercialize it? Were they trying to commercialize it?
I think, people like versus culture. So if you're doing something and I'm doing something else, one of us has got to be the right one.
Oh, okay.
And so spirituality became like religion. So people were following this spiritual leader, whether it be Shivananda, whether it be Swami Rama, right, Ramdas, or whatever else. And they had opinions about what other people were doing. And the craziness started from there. Then the geopolitical people came in and say, oh, if it's not from India, then it's not pure enough. And then the feminists came in and said, if it's not female centric because we are the birthing mothers of whatever, right? Then it's just not authentic enough. Then the racists and the xenophobes came in and say, oh, this yoga is only for a certain demographic and so on. And I'm looking at this nonsense develop over time, and I have problems with the people who, from the past, who had their ashrams and so on, who remained silent.
Oh, yeah.
Who remained silent while it is that this craziness was going on. And I remember having discussions back in the day where I said, this is crazy. I said it, that it was crazy. And people said, well, we shouldn't judge because, they might have something to offer and teach us. Gee, how did that work out for us some 20 years later? The world is in a state, and the spiritual community is now rendered ineffective and cannot do anything. People have lost faith in the medical community, but people have definitely lost faith in coaches, spiritual healers, counselors, and so on. They have lost faith in these people, and I think everybody knows it because platforms like Mind Valley, right,
Yeah. What
are having
happened?
issues. Not you don't even hear about TED Talks anymore.
Yeah.
People are not following those leaders anymore. The reason why that is because those leaders did not bring the expected outcome that people are expecting. Like, if I follow you, I'll be a millionaire and I'll be happy and I'll have like everything that I have always wanted, family, life, whatever. And it didn't happen.
So what happened to Mind Valley? Because that was popular.
If you put all the spiritual teachings
Yeah.
in one area and you are selling it on subscription, then it dilutes every one of these spiritual teachings.
Oh.
That should have been common sense to everybody who joined Mind Valley. But apparently it wasn't. So let me ask you something. If you were making, let me put it to you this way: you're making custom made hand woven shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody is making custom made hand woven slippers. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody else is making custom made whatever. You put them all into one platform and you're selling it like Amazon. Let me ask you something. When you go on Amazon, you really think that you care? You may care about brand, but all the rest of the brands are just there alongside each other like options. And so the reverence for spiritual teachings was damaged severely. It
Wow.
was. And people destroyed their own brand by cheapening their brand by putting it on Amazon. It was the Amazon of spirituality. And a lot of
Wow.
people decided that they were going to go that route because it was easier. They did not have the tech experience, the tech knowledge to build their own platforms. So, it was just easier to do that. And it looks wrong. And so what is happening right now, I believe Mind Valley is in a couple of lawsuits as well, right?
Yeah.
Over privacy and so on because people's data was mishandled. And so this is basically what we're seeing right now. And I think a lot of people who promised the world to people and did not deliver made sure that the public was like, we have the occasional crazy in the spiritual community.
Yeah. We do.
We have the occasional crazy person, and I'm going to use the words because I remember back in the day, people were afraid to use the words for in fear of being labeled as judgmental, and that's a word that we have covered already. Because
Mhm.
to be quite honest, for me to wear the shirt I'm wearing today, I had to make a judgment.
Yeah.
So judgment happens all the time on everybody.
Yeah.
So you label certain judgments as bad and certain judgments as good. But by that same token, the reason why all of us who are listening to this, well, I would hope most of us that are listening to this, are not hopped up on cocaine, heroin, and meth is because you exercised your judgment.
Judgment. I always didn't understand that. You have to have judgment.
Yeah, and you're judging the outcome. Like, if I do that, I don't think things will go well for me. This is a matter of judgment. So I am
Yeah.
saying when it comes to a social level, right, people who are doing things that are just outlandish and negative for public health, right? Negative for public health, like certain spiritual leaders who are advising people to do some like like drugs,
Yeah.
and I'm talking about MDMA and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
That is. You have no idea how are they certified to do this?
No, nobody said it's illegal. What the hell?
I
Like,
don't know.
it's illegal.
I don't know. Well,
They're advising. They say, "Oh, I had my greatest awakening when I was on ecstasy. Ecstasy is illegal. It still is illegal.
yeah.
So when you advising or you're promoting ecstasy on your platform, could you please understand that you're promoting something which is illegal, and whereas you may get away with it on Instagram and so on, your listeners and users will absolutely take your advice and go try that. And they may not
Mhm.
have the resistance that you have and may develop an addiction and you might ruin somebody's life. Stop that nonsense.
Yeah.
God.
Oh, okay. Let's move on to um I'm going to ask you this question. What does spiritual bypassing look like when it's used to dodge accountability? Like, well, everything happens for a reason, or that's just your ego.
Yes, it's something funny that I always hear. Something like, oh, the universe told me to do so. Oh, it didn't work out. Well, the universe has something better in planned for me. Oh, okay. At what point in time are you going to use your common sense to make decisions for yourself that actually make sense? So
Yeah.
I am actually a little bit amazed with the spiritual bypassing. You got people who would like to say that the universe is directing them. And the next question I ask is, how would you know? Did they send you a
An email.
did the universe send you an email? Did you get a fax? Right? Or did you
Thanks.
just sit there and the universe came and said to you, listen, okay, we know that people have divine inspiration of different kinds, okay? And I'm going to say something quite simply to everybody who's listening to this broadcast right now. Divine inspiration works like this: you have a dream, you have a vision, you act on the vision. The vision is not enough for you to act in a particular way. So, as an example, you could say something like, oh, gee, Hitler had a vision
Yeah.
of a perfect Aryan nation. You gotta exercise reason and common sense. Hitler had a reason. Hitler had a vision, right? There's a lot of dictators. Genghis Khan had a vision. This man murdered most of Asia.
Yeah.
Hitler murdered 6 million Jews and probably a lot more other ethnic groups, which we don't hear about. But anyway, my point is, could you all, with the divine inspiration, you just know. And this is another thing, because I ask people, because I'm problematic that way. I will ask you when you have a vision to do something stupid. Um, how do you know that the vision is from a divine source? You just know. Okay.
Yeah.
You mean like what Hitler did? He just knew that conquering the entire world and wiping out any other minority groups or other groups that were not Aryan was a good thing. My man, it didn't work out for him. It's not going to work out for you. And here's the thing: if you look at it from a Christian standpoint, and I keep utilizing this analogy, if I was the devil, just hear me out here.
Okay.
If I was the devil, I would present myself as a being of light that came to you and said to you, yes, you know, the spiritual people down the road, they got to go. Okay? Get rid of them. Get rid of them now. Right? Like the Amityville horror. I would
Yeah.
present myself as a being of light because apparently anybody who presents themselves as a being of light in people's visions somehow is telling them the right path to take. Spoiler alert, the word Lucifer means bringer of light. So just so that we're clear, not all light beings could be your friend, right?
Right.
So,
Well, okay. So, there's like things going around community based thing, kind of like a community based, and then there's institutional based,
mhm,
right? Like the Mind Valley or Gaia or Omega Institute, right?
mhm.
Those would be those. Okay. So, can you tell me who would be more trustworthy, or are they just differently flawed? Or why people have this community based people? I know they like to bring people together. I get that. But what tell us the flaws of both, if there is?
I am going to give users some flack here, the audience.
Okay.
When people join community spaces and institutions and have been part of both, people have this annoying habit of surrendering their common sense
Yes.
because they're looking for community. Some people are looking for identity. Some
Yeah.
people are looking for camaraderie,
Yeah.
and they surrender their common sense. Surrendering your common sense should be illegal in all 50 states of the US
No, it
and
should.
all provinces in Canada. Do not surrender your common sense, and I'll tell you why. The people who run these communities and institutions, some of them, not all of them, rely on the fact that people are desperate and they're in a part of their life which they can exploit. Communities as an example.
Is it money grabbing too? Just to
Uh,
add that. Yeah.
yes, money grabbing. So let me explain the flaws of community. Communities are good, they're wonderful, they bring people together. Small problem is that a community can turn into a cult of personality really quick when the community has inverted commas enforcers and gatekeepers in it. I'll
Yeah.
explain what I mean. And I'm going to use personal experience. I have been through a lot of different communities, okay? Over a span of what, 25 years?
Hmm.
To learn stuff from them. But I have a problem because I don't surrender my common sense towards anybody. There are people who follow people. They are followers, sheep. Everybody who is listening to this right now, if you're following somebody and you hold somebody in the highest esteem that such that the person can do no wrong, you are a sheep.
Yep.
Okay? If you cannot see the good and the bad and you are just locked into one particular way of seeing, you are a fanatic, from which we derive the word I'm a fan. No, you're
Right.
a fanatic. That's who you are. Everybody has flaws. If they are human, they are flawed. They are flawed, including your spiritual leader is flawed. Your spiritual leader, I'm talking to you right now. I don't care who it is. I don't care what title they have. I don't care what certificates they have. I don't care what they have. They are flawed in some way, shape, or form. They are human. If you don't believe that, you're crazy. And you're a sheep and you're a follower, and you will never be a leader if you are that person. The time has come for people, listen, you join communities and you join institutions to become your own leader, to become your own priest. And if your community is not um, promoting you to become the leader of yourself, leave that community.
Yeah.
If
And
your community is only promoting that you follow XYZ person and XYZ leader and this spiritual this and this spiritual that, and not helping you become the priest, the guru that you actually are meant to be, leave the community, and I'll tell you why. Because this is supposed to be about empowerment, right? This is supposed to be about empowerment. Everybody becomes their own cook, cleaner, and bottle washer.
yeah.
Everybody becomes that person. And the thing is, the communities back in the day, like I grew up in a TM center, we were not following any guru. Maharishi Yogi was the guru for the TM center at the time, but we were not following him blindly. Everybody was doing their personal work. And when we say work, I mean actually meditating and meeting and meditating. We held each other accountable. We did not say, you must follow Maharishi. We never
Okay.
said that.
So within these communities, let me see how I can say this. Maharishi wants to be a guest in our community and they want to charge.
What?
They want they want an extra charge to have somebody come in to speak to the community.
I understand if the person is a presenter,
Yeah.
and you got to be very careful with these things. Okay, institutions do that,
Yeah.
right? Because institutions are profit based. So if an institution, aka stuff like Mind Valley, they're incorporated in a registry, in a business registry
Right.
somewhere, and I'm going to guess they're not incorporated as a non-profit. You feel me? So they're incorporated as a business. A business exists to make profit. A business exists to make profit. For those of you who needed me to mention this just one more time, I'll say it the third time. A business exists to make profit. Okay?
Com- Communities don't. Community based.
No, I volunteer at a community garden. The
Yeah.
only profit that I get is like
Food.
freshly grown carrots, right? Communities operate with a certain level of warmth,
Yeah.
right? Camaraderie, right? And if that is absent in your community and there's a bunch of rules telling you where to go, who to talk to, who to go through, and stuff like that, you don't have a community, you have an institution.
Interesting. Well, that okay. Um
And let me tell you something else about communities. Communities generally should not have an authoritarian leader. Absolutely not. That kind of leadership style is wrong for communities. I'll explain to you why. Because the community is based on camaraderie and mutual benefit and mutual cohesion. Okay, mutual agreement of cohesion. So a community could be like, I don't know, a community garden. Go ahead.
okay, but let's say you and I, well, you have UCM community,
Hmm.
but um but people see that as just because you started it and they see you as, oh, well, he's the owner of this community. I guess what I'm trying to get at is
Hmm.
people start a community,
Hmm.
people come into the community,
Hmm.
and they think that the two people or three people that started this community, we need to listen to them. I feel like this is a lot of like, you would think common sense, but I think that's how they get people into the community.
One of the worst things that
I
I've
don't know.
ever had to, one of the worst things I've ever had to do, um, is explain to people there are no such, this guru thing. Let's throw
Yeah,
it out the window.
yeah.
I don't want anybody following me. No, that's a huge responsibility. I'm not yes, I am a priest, but never mind. I'm not right, right. This nonsense. Everybody has to become enlightened on their own. Everybody has to become their own priest, their own doctor, their own everything. That requires work. It requires you to pick up a book, read it. It requires you to practice, practice, practice. People don't want that. People want somebody to tell them what to do. A lot of people do.
Yeah, that's
And that
probably
is something that you should never promote. If you, I mean, it's profitable for a lot of people to do that. They promote this thing, follow me, I will lead you into the pearly gates of enlightenment. And I'm like, no, you're not leading anybody anywhere.
okay, but you get in those communities because I've been in some of them over the years,
Hmm.
and you get in there and it's like, well, can I talk? Can I say something about what you just said?
You're not in a
Like,
community. You're not in a community. You are in an institution, like a school. That's what you're in.
yeah, but it's labeled community. This is what I'm trying to get the difference between community-based and institution. I get the institution. You're paying money to get what they have,
Hmm.
whether it's classes, whether it's this, and then you're done with the class and then you leave.
Hmm.
But community-based keeps going and going and going, correct? Every month they have something they're doing.
Yes,
I
and in a community, let me explain the difference between the two. A community is like the Knights of the Round Table.
okay.
Arthur started it.
Yeah.
But everybody at the table is round because nobody's at the head of the table.
Right.
That means anybody could have an idea, and the rest of the table says, "Yes, let's do it." Like the Tweedlebugs on Sesame Street.
Yes.
All right,
Yeah.
everybody tries to help that particular issue or that particular person. That's why the table is round. That's what a community is. Okay, there is no pyramid structure. There is no, for you to speak to somebody at the table, you should go through somebody else. No, nonsense. Everybody is equal under the eyes of the community.
Well, this is not a lot of what people think, David. I'm sorry to say.
Yes, I'm aware of that. The horror, and
This is not what it is. Zoom should have a circle instead of all blocks. It should be a circle. Maybe that's the problem, Zoom. Maybe you want to have a round.
I'm going to give you an example of a community. I am presenting at a community this evening.
Yeah.
Okay, I am presenting something on neurological health. Everybody who is at that meeting is seen as equal. There are people who organize it, put the chairs down and stuff like that, and people arrive early to help put the chairs down, but other people get to present at that thing. Okay, if you want to talk to somebody directly, you just get up and you go talk to that person. That is a community.
Yeah.
Right? You don't say, "Oh, you want to talk to me? Well, talk to my secretary and I'll try to fit you in for an appointment." Crazy stuff. That is not a community, that is an institution.
Right. And then they don't even pick up the chairs. They don't even help pick up the chairs and throw the food away and
No,
whatever.
that's for the other people, the
That's
peon.
right. That's right. Okay, so I think did we talk about well, we might have talked about this, but what about blind faith? Is it ever appropriate in a spiritual relationship, or is it always a warning sign? A sign.
Um,
Blind faith.
that word is such a
I know.
that word is such, and the combination. Okay, all right, all right. I mean, you okay? All
Uh-oh.
right.
Uh-oh.
Let's go back to our Christian background, Amy.
Yeah. Okay.
Faith is walking without sight.
Yes.
So all faith is theoretically
Blind.
blind faith.
Right.
Okay. All right. I totally support blind faith in a spiritual force or entity. I support blind faith when it comes to your higher self. I have a real problem with blind faith when it comes to human beings. But then most people would say, but if you enter into a marriage with somebody, then that's an act of blind faith till death do you part. And then I'm like, yeah, but are you really entering into a marriage with that person, or are you walking without sight based on what your higher self is telling you the path is? Okay, now blind faith in spiritual leaders is just crazy to me. Oh wow, oh
You know they're
blind
out
faith,
there.
blind faith in any. But listen, I am going to list a few spiritual leaders that have been involved in scandals. Bikram Chaudhry, the originator of hot yoga, right? Accused with from corruption, molesting women, right? John Friend, the creator of Anusara Yoga. Let's go to the conventional Christian people. Billy Graham, remember him?
I do remember him.
Right. Let's go to other people like Creflo Dollar. He's a prosperity preacher. This man has two $65 million jets. Okay, and his scam is that I will pray for you if you have a seed offering of a certain amount of money. So you pay me this money and I'll pray for you and you'll receive blessings because I am God's messenger. Who in oh my God. I want to take one of those little foam baseball bats and hit everybody who donated to this man on the head. Are you nuts? Do you have nothing better to do with your money? But people become desperate and they're like, well, God obviously isn't listening to me, but he's listening to this guy. So probably this guy could ask God for me. And I'm like, this is the same thing that is being demonstrated in a lot of wellness and spiritual communities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I want to ask you a few scenarios. Are you ready?
Sure.
Okay. A popular online healer sells a $3,000 trauma release program. Several participants report worsened mental health afterwards. She says they weren't ready for the medicine.
Oh.
Okay. Tell us this.
Hmm.
Tell us your reaction to this. Because, yeah.
Hmm. It's easy to say that somebody isn't ready for stuff, right? Because you mean it didn't work?
Yeah, it didn't work. The trauma release didn't work.
The trauma release didn't work.
It worsened their mental health actually afterward. It got worse.
Yeah, like most people who promise things that don't work and say, "Well, you weren't ready. Eventually, you will become ready, but you
Yeah.
weren't ready right now." Okay, let me give you this joke on the Christian front. Madam Lady White from Seventh Day Adventist group led people up on a hill waiting for the second coming of Christ. They stayed up on that hill for quite some time. Christ didn't come. All right, but the world isn't ready for Christ returning. Listen to me very carefully. You should absolutely own your nonsense when you know your nonsense doesn't work, okay? Or stick to evidence-based um, practice, and then you know it works.
Yeah.
Trauma release, seriously. And this is, I kind of feel a little bit weird when it comes to this kind of trauma release construct, right?
Okay.
What does trauma release look like?
Yeah. What does
You
it
need
look like?
you need a specific set of training for trauma release. You need to be trauma informed first before you can do trauma release. And a trauma informed person is not going to tell somebody whose mental health was worsened, "Oh, you weren't ready yet." That's what compounded the trauma. God.
Oh, well, that's what I mean. It's like paperwork has to be in place, right? Like, what if this person was on medication and went off the medication because she thought right? Like, people have to be, I don't know, vetted or something. I don't know. It's tough. It feels like the Wild Wild West a little bit out there.
A lot of people are in the wild, wild west.
Yeah.
People will do well. Listen, people will pick up anything that sticks. So this concept of trauma release and trauma informed, this is like a buzzword. People have a bunch of buzzwords. It used to be that we used to call that psychotherapy. Okay,
Yes.
we used to call that counseling, and all the techniques of counseling have been split into different little subsections and factions. And
Yeah.
now they're using these little buzzwords like trauma release, trauma informed, trauma this, and trauma that. Back then, you just had that as being a counselor.
Yeah.
They're trying to make it as there is something new under the sun. There is nothing new under the sun. Okay? Primitive tribes in Africa have trauma release techniques that they practice. There is nothing new underneath the sun. When it comes to stuff, you may revamp it and repackage it into something really cool, right? But the fact of the matter is, it's the same practice over and over again. And just so that we're clear, before you could do trauma release, you have to be trauma informed. Okay?
Yes.
And trauma informed requires you to actually study something, which means that you have to study human um, anatomy,
Hmm.
because the nervous system is not something that you want to play with when it comes to people. You could seriously mess
Yeah.
someone up. Okay?
Yeah.
There are a lot of people who are doing trauma release.
What about somatic release? Different?
It is pretty much the same. Somatic release deals with the body as well. Okay?
Okay.
There are a lot of people doing trauma release and somatic release who are not trauma informed. And so you would get stupid comments such as, You weren't ready for the release as yet.
You weren't ready for the medicine.
You weren't ready for the medicine. When you are ready for the medicine, it's like when the sick person is ready, the medicine will appear. Like seriously, you remember that phrase,
Mm.
when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. You can't be talking that way to people,
Yeah, you can't. Oh my goodness.
but it's a real thing, and that's why a lot of people that I speak to personally have gotten turned off of the whole. They don't want to have nothing to do with the spiritual community at
Mhm.
all, at all, at all. They're a lot of these people are crazy. That's what I have been told by people in business, because I deal with corporate, and every once in a while a spiritual person will approach a corporate entity, and the corporate entity will say, yeah, nah, we don't want nothing to do with y'all, right? And they don't and they want to, oh, they're against us, they just want the conventional doctor approach. There is a reason for that.
Yeah.
There is a reason for that. Stuff like this, people. And here's the thing that actually is my biggest grouse, is that people in this, when you belong to a particular community, you can make the entire community look bad based on your behavior.
Yes, I agree with that. But you have to be aware of that because, you can be a sheep. You have
Yeah.
to realize you're a sheep, right? To get out of that. Like, oh my God, what have I been doing? So, one last question before we go.
Sure.
If you could design accountability into a spiritual community from day one, what's the first structure you'd put in place?
A circle. A
A
circle.
circle. Yes, that's it.
A circle. You see, once you have a circle where everybody's equal, then people could call people out respectfully when they're doing stupid stuff. Okay? Accountability is across the table. So you have a circle, you have people sitting at a circle, and
Yep.
people are at the same level, and people respect each other at this level. Okay? And there's
Yeah.
no hierarchy. So if King Arthur was doing stupid stuff, Lancelot should be able to call him out. Right? Who
Yeah.
are the other knights of the round table?
I
What?
don't know.
Percival. Percival should be able
Sure.
to call him out. Anybody should be able to call him out and say, yo, you're doing stupid stuff.
And bring out the kahunas because you need those too.
Correct.
A lot of people don't want to speak up to who they think are above them because they're
Yeah.
not worthy. Self-worth comes into that. So get some kahunas and practice.
Yes. Yes. Agreed. You have to be able to say something is wrong when it is wrong. And the second thing that I would do is bring up uh certain operations of behavior. People operate on different concepts of morality. You have to agree on what morality and ethics are before you have a community. You have to agree on what morality and ethics are before you have an institution as well.
Yeah.
So, as an example, tiered system, 69.95, and you will reach enlightenment faster than the other group, because we'll not give the other group information, and you will have certain kinds of information, and you will get there. Tiered system, not nice.
No, not nice at all. Wow. Well, David, I'm sure we probably could do another one about this.
Yeah,
We
I think
could.
we should. Because I think there's a lot of people who would be very, very upset and have stuff to say with regard to what was said today, because they know that they're guilty of one of these things. Stop treating people like commodities. It's wrong.
Yeah.
Absolutely wrong.
Yeah.
Okay? Your clients and the people that are coming to you are coming to you. Some of them are desperate. Some of them just want some sort of relief, right, from their lives. And if you are treating them like a money um ATM or whatever the case may be, you guys, like, it's making everybody look bad. It has resulted in the death of the spiritual community in a lot of areas, and I would implore you to think about that.
Well, let's give people examples of what it looks like. What does a money grab look like to somebody? Because could look so innocent.
A money grab would look something like this. Well, we're going to have a seance. where we're going to contact some spiritual entity from the eighth dimension. I have had a lot of channelers around me before. Okay. I've hosted channelers in my house. We open that to the public. But some channelers are going to say, well, this eighth dimensional being only comes around once every 76 years. Once you see wording like that, you're building scarcity into a marketing campaign.
Mm-hmm.
And so, because of the scarcity and because we are trying to keep, the true authenticity of the things, this spiritual entity will be coming. And if you are present at this ceremony, well, you will receive something special. It's a special message because the spiritual entity is only coming to speak to a certain amount of people. So we're going to have to charge you guys like a couple grand, $2,000. But then you'll get this a special message from the spiritual entity. Yeah, none of that nonsense. No, you live this far and this long without the spiritual entity.
Right.
Yes, the message from the spiritual entity. I think you're gonna be good the rest of your time on Earth. The next 76 years, if the spirituality doesn't come back, because you want to know what? This common sense should tell you that if he comes once every 76 years, then that person who's channeling that spirituality is going to be dead anyway.
Yes. Right.
So stop this scarcity, special nonsense.
Yeah.
Guys, if you guys are listening to this and you are not one of those people who are scamming people, please listen to what I just said. When people start building scarcity and stuff into their marketing campaigns like that, you're doing fine without it. If you do your work, you don't even have to go to a community or a institution. If you do your work, you pick up a book, you read your book, you practice spiritually, and you practice with earnest, you will be fine.
Yes. Amen to that.
Amen, my sister.
Amen. Hallelujah. Okay. How can people get a hold of you, David? At a round table. We need to have a round table.
Yes, we need to have a round table.
We do.
Actually, you know what? Maybe we should change this to a round table. We need to have a round table. Right.
There we go.
And so, guys, if you if you guys want to get a hold of me, you can get a hold of me at info@oneexit.com. It is absolutely free. There is no special entity that will tell you anything about anything. But I will give you advice on some of the best people to contact when it comes to spirituality, which will not break the bank for you. Okay?
Yes. Amen.
So that advice will be completely free, not trying to upsell you to the special people section.
Over here we have.
Right? You could go to this person, but that's the basic plan. But the deluxe person, well, you're going to have to use a different email and there'll be a paywall there for my advice. None of that nonsense. Guys, just reach out to me. Yeah, or we do have a store, and the store, well, go check it out for yourself. We're not trying to sell you things and break your bank or whatever. We're actually trying to help the community because there are still people out here that are still trying to help.
Yes. Common sense, people. Use it. You have it.
Yes. I wish more people would use it. I wish I could like this inject. Anyway.
Common sense. Okay. Until next time.
All right, guys. Take care.
Bye. Hi, everybody. This is Amy Kruzik. I am a certified hypnotherapist from the International Association of Counselors in Therapy and the Professional Board of Hypnotherapy here in Canada. I am here to announce the opening of our new Unified Health Systems online store, where you will find professional courses and done-for-you products at reasonable prices in the market. Check them out at shop.unifiedhealthsystems.com. Bye, everybody. See you there.